It's Friday. It's July. It's July 11, would you believe? Yep. We're 1/3 of the way through the month of July. August, September. We're like 60 days from the announcement of iPhone 17, which the incremental improvement will be 3 45 million pixel cameras. Can you imagine? 3 of them. 45 million pixels each. So when you look at the 3 lenses on this little guy, behind each lens is a separate and distinct 45 million pixel imager. The telephoto lens had a 12 million pixel imager. So it is being upgraded from 12 million pixels to 45 million pixels. The 5x focal length. So, I mean, I've gotten lots of moon shots. So with 45 million pixels, you know, you can even expand, 3 times further. So in a sense, without losing any resolution from what you see today, you can have like a 10x lens, equivalent. Or maybe even a little bit more than that. Anyway, so with all the other years worth of development, the processors will be faster, the screen resolution will be sharper, and by the way, it also is a phone. That's the goofy part of, you carry around an iPhone, but the truth is it does so much more than, talking on a phone. And it turns out that people communicate more with text messaging and all that kind of business rather than actually speaking on a telephone. Oh boy. I like it, big time. I can, text messaging, I can talk to 11 or 12 people at the same time, 17 people at the same time, send out one message and whoosh, goes out to, I like text messaging because it ends up right on my device. I don't have to, I've been teaching at FAU for a long time. My email address is right there. It's been it's in the public domain for 20 years. 416.1100@gmail.com. Be there or be square. I mean, I get 1,000 emails a day. Can you imagine? So when someone says they sent me an email, I want to know the exact time they sent it, and who the sender was, so I can go search for it. Because you just can't go through a couple of emails. There's thousands of them. And was it early morning yesterday or late today? So then you got several thousand emails you got to deal with. So when anyone sends me an email, I immediately go to the search bar because I can't just page up and down for the emails. It's just too many of them. So the text messaging is the next best thing. And the phone number better be in my phone book, or else it goes into the unknown category, which I guess I can show you here. Let's see. Yeah, here's my text messages. I'll bring it up for you. Apple Intelligence. Okay. There we go. Some new stuff here. So here's my... So the important thing is you can pin, I don't know if everybody's doing this, but you can pin up to 9 people. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 children up on the top. Marilyn is there. If you're looking on the screen, I think you can see this. Not sure you can see this. No, I don't think you can. Let's get rid of this. Let's do it here. Yeah, we have to look at it this way. I have to figure out how to get it on the system. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So you can see my text messages. Let's go full screen on this. Producers. We've got 3 people on staff here, me, myself, and I. Okay, so here's the pinning I'm talking about. You can see I got my 4 children up at top, Marilyn's in the middle, then I got 3 people I can talk to at once here, and then I've got all the kitties. There's one of my favorite customers, and here is the Wilson Group. And I can click on here, and you can see all the people there. And yeah, there's 13 people in this group. There we go. A couple of grandchildren, sister-in-laws, mostly family. So I just made an announcement that I just made my world-famous spaghetti sauce. And there it is. Right there. A little video here. What's going on here? It's loading. I just made, I guess 4. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to zoom it in. There's some rustic Italiano seasoning right there. Right there. I'm going to be able to stir it up. And my... You can see there's some extra seasoning sitting around there. I'm talking, but you can't hear the talking because I'm talking. Anyway, I sauteed some hot sausage to make meatballs. And I stir that in the sauce so it gives a little spicy nature to the sauce. A little extra dimension. There's the tomatoes. I'm actually using Alessi tomatoes now. About $5.50 a 14-ounce can. I use 4 of those. So the recipe here, I can get out of this. So here's the ingredients. So it's 6 cans of that, 2 cans of that. So that's 8 cans. I'm using 4 cans. So all the rest of the ingredients here is like divided by 2, except for the size of the pot. And then I have all the instructions. You do this, you do that. Once the tomato sauce mixture is piping hot, and then you cover it, and A through Z. Yeah. And that's what it looks like. It's a magical. It is so good. Oh my God. I just finished it last night. I had a nice little bowl of that. Marilyn had some. I also cooked up some ravioli that had sausage and a cheese mixture. Oh, so good. In rapidly boiling water, you throw these raviolis in there. They're fresh raviolis. It cooks in 4 minutes. It's like a flash boil. And at the end of 4 minutes, pour it in a colander, spray some, tap water on there, spray it, cool it down, because you don't want that pasta to get too hot. In the rapidly boiling water, of course, there's olive oil and a little Italian seasoning just to, flavor the water. What the heck? That absorbs into pasta and gives you a little extra dimension. Your taste buds are very good. So, and then after you dump the ravioli in the colander, add a little more olive oil and mix it around, because you don't want those raviolis, which are sizable. They're the size of a silver dollar, at least. But about this big around, actually. Bigger than a silver dollar. About the size of this this magical AirPod doodad container, which is connected to the charger. And as soon as you open it up, there it goes. Jim's AirPod Pro. And you touch on that, and it will sync up with so that when you're playing audio through your iPad or your iPhone, it connects to your iPad. Which iPad? I got 3 iPads here, and what's going on here? And my iPhone there. 1, 2, 3. I got 4, and my what do you call it? MacBook Pro, the Air version, the 15-inch screen, which is magical. It runs real cool. It's doing a lot, to process all of this. The processors are heat synced up on this top bar. This runs around 95 degrees. The rest of the case is about 85 degrees. The room is 69 degrees. So there's a lot of things going on to produce this simulcast over 3 social networks simultaneously. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter is carrying this all at the same time. Now, you don't have to listen to this live. You can listen to it anytime, time or day. If you go to YouTube Live, for example, or Facebook Live, my handle is FAU4U. If you look at my photos, let's see, just so we can make it indelibly clear. Bingo. There we go. FAU4U. In living color. In purple, in red, in black. Yep, there it is. FAU4U. And why? Because I've been teaching at FAU. And it's all for you. Yeah. Digital photography. Principles of digital imaging and post-image processing. Yep. I wrote a book by the same name. I keep on saying I'm going to get the book out and show it to you, and I keep forgetting. I'll see if I can find. I got a whole box full of them somewhere. That's something I should have out here. Published by Pearson Education, one of the finest educational publishers in the United States. It was not done by the Okefenokee Press. Pearson Education is the world's best educational publisher, as far as I know. It's like the let's say the Mercedes-Benz of publishers. You know, wide distribution, outstanding performance. You know, they make these books and they stock the bookstores in the, you know, in the bookstore in the universities. It was originally published in 2003, October. I was put on the faculty in 2003 in October, I think. My sponsor, John Harlan, says, from the time I was put on the faculty to the time I published my first book, it was like 18 days. Sets a new world record in how fast a faculty member published a book. Yeah. I didn't write the book in 18 days. It was a coincidence that the publishing date happened right after I was put on the faculty. It took me 700 hours to write the book. So let's do the math. So I remember doing that calculation. 700, let's divide that by, you know, when you write a book, you know, it's not like an 8-hour day. Let's just say it's, you know, 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. So that's 116 days, you know. Let's divide that by a 5-day week. So that's 23 weeks. So it's about a half a year, you know, to write that baby. That's about right. You know, it takes a couple of weeks to just figure out what you're gonna write. What are you gonna say? How are you gonna say it? So I had to create the table of contents first. You know, that's like your bullet points of what you're going to do. And I basically decided, you know, post-image processing is essentially, you know, Photoshop kind of work. So what I did was I said, okay, let's organize the tool. I mean, there's hundreds of tools in Photoshop. It's very, if you look at the whole, you know, if you look at the 20,000-foot view of Photoshop, way up, looking down upon it, you know, like Google Maps, you know, it's mind-boggling, you know, how much, you know, can be done with Photoshop. So that's too complicated. We want to keep it simple. We want to make it so that everybody, remember, I started teaching this over 22 years ago, right? 22 years ago. That's a long time ago. 2003. You know, digital photography was a pioneering effort. You know, when I would go on field shooting FAU football, which started in the year 2000, I was the only guy with a digital camera. You know, all the other press people, you know, this newspaper, that newspaper, the TV channels, everybody that had still cameras, you know, were using film. Then they go back, they'd shoot the, you know, they'd change the rolls of film, and they'd ask me, what kind of camera is that? I said, well, it's a Canon digital camera. You know, EOS 1N digital. The EOS 1N in a film camera was the best sports camera pretty much made. Nikon had, you know, a version. Canon was, you know, the bee's knees. It was, you know, super fast. It shoot, you know, 8 or 10 frames per second. You know, when it's moving film across, you know, the film, you know, the mechanical features of that were you know, precision, to say the least. Now, digital, so they got rid of all the film mechanisms because you didn't need to advance film. You had this 24 by 36 millimeter frame, full frame of pixels, and that was perfectly positioned with the same distance between the focal point of the lens and the film plane, so that, you know, all the lenses that were already engineered for the film-based camera were perfectly compatible with the EOS 1N that had the imager set right where the film was. But now you didn't have to advance the imager, it just sat there stationary. And every time you push the button, you know, when you take a picture, the lens would open up and whoosh, light would illuminate the imager. The electronics, you know, behind the imager would take all those pixels and arrange it in a picture. And on the back of the camera, you had this little display, and you could see how the picture was taken. You know, did it capture, was it too bright? Was it too this or that? You know, so you had settings in the camera, just like, you know, you can set the f-stop, you can set the speed of the shutter speed. All those things were essentially lens-based, but the electronics could also, you know, enhance the shutter speed. And also increase the, you know, with film, you had to change the film if you wanted a different ASA, or they changed it to ISO, same thing. You know, so if you were taking architectural pictures where things weren't moving, you use a 25 ASA, which is a real, what is considered a slow film, meaning that it you needed to have bright illumination like sunlight and so forth. You couldn't use 25 or 50 ISO film if you were taking pictures inside of a nightclub, because the film was not sensitive enough to the light, and the pictures would all be very dark. So you needed like 400 or 800 ISO film, and that would add a sense of grain to the, you know, which is essentially, you know, the noise of the film. So you'd see these little blotches, you know, if you made a big print. But with the digital photography, the imagers, you didn't change imagers. You just turned a dial on your camera, and it changed the ISO value of the imager. And, you know, you can go to In today's imagers, you can go to 50,000, 100,000 ISO. I mean, the light sensitivity. You take pictures in darkness, for Pete's sake. If you had one little candle on one side of the room, it would give you enough light to take a picture on the other side of the room. With just one candle. 50,000 ISO, 25,000 ISO, 12,000 ISO, and you wouldn't have the grain. I mean, the picture-taking capability of these iPhones is just magnificent. It is challenging. It gets to the point where the iPhone camera and the software that's associated with it, and how quickly you can use it. It makes for magnificent pictures with outstanding color capability. And it challenges, carrying around this 4-pound camera with a 3-pound lens that costs, $7,000 for a camera and a lens with the picture-taking capability of this guy. But when you go to a professional job and they're paying you, $1,000 to cover an event, you can't walk in with an iPhone. They're going to say, "Hey, where the hell's the professional photographer that I hired?" He's walking around with an iPhone. Oh my God. But the truth is, the iPhone takes just unbelievable, magnificent pictures. And now they're coming out with, this is not an iPhone. But you can see the 3 cameras. And the iPhone will have 3 45 million pixel imagers associated in the cameras with each lens. So you got a super wide angle lens with a 45 million pixel imager essentially attached to that lens system, which has autofocus and unbelievable color reproduction. And the Apple people are they're so demanding on the capabilities that the manufacturers stay up all night trying to figure out how to make a magnificent color reproduction with each pixel. And the manufacturing technique and the fact that it uses just a little tiny bit of power because you don't want to wear out the battery, so the phone will work all day long. And so you got 3 imagers, one behind each lens. You got a super wide angle, you got a medium lens, what is considered a normal lens, which in 35 millimeter photography, that would be like a 45 to 50 millimeter lens. So you have like a 20 millimeter lens, a 50 millimeter lens, and a 200 millimeter lens. So you got 3 cameras basically in one handheld device. And depending on how you zoom, whatever you're doing, it looks at the scene that you're looking at and decides which camera to use. Now you can pick the focal length you want. You want to go to 5x zoom, you immediately go to a 250 millimeter lens. And from there you can digitally zoom it up to 20x, which is super telephoto. All image stabilized, so even if you have a little hand movement, the image that you see in the back of the, with your display is smooth and it's not jittery at all. So that is, such a feature. Now, with the traditional 35 millimeter camera, an image stabilized lens, costs, if a good professional lens will cost you $1,500, to have an image stabilized lens with the same lens, you add an extra $1,000 for the electronics associated with, moving those lens elements to keep everything stabilized. All that is in the iPhone, in the flash system. There's a little flash guy there. It's got LiDAR right here, a little lens. You can see that little round dot right there. That's the LiDAR for when you're doing. I use that to decide if I was going to go with a 60-inch, a 70-inch, or 85-inch TV on my wall. I use the LiDAR system in the iPhone for the aspect. With the artificial intelligence, it put the 85-inch screen right on that wall to see if it would fit. Is it too big? If you want to know how big the TV you can put on a wall, you take the diagonal measure of the device. For example, 85 inches. Let's do